the most difficult lessons life can teach us can only be delivered by our mother, no one else. No one else has that power. No one else has that capacity.
Yes, my pressing priority at this time is my relationship with my mother. So really the present relationship here and now. I don't blame her for anything in the past, and I also take full responsibility because I'm sure I sowed the seeds of this life realistically in some past life, I assume. And yeah, I have a lot of suffering in relationship to my mother, but I don't really want to entertain it much longer because it's really draining a lot of my energy. And I do believe I have what it takes to love her and embrace her fully in my heart. And I believe that's my responsibility as well. But it's a bit difficult because it's almost like those dogs who are like in a shelter or something, like the dogs which were abused and they just want to bite everyone. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm back in my home country and I'm in her physical day-to-day presence, I just realize there's only so long I can try to run away. Like I left home at age 17 and now just my father's passing brought me back home. And I don't really want to avoid it because I don't want to drag it on into future situations, be it a future incarnation or even a future relationship with my own child. Like for me, that's absolutely unacceptable. So I really need to heal and resolve it. And I need to do it myself because she doesn't have the same tools as me to be able to contribute to that healing. So I really would love to know what you think, and I'm really adamant about healing this, so I'll do whatever it takes.
First, I want to bring the proverb, which comes from where I grew up. In Uzbekistan, there is a saying, if your mother turns into a dog, the first thing you do in the morning is to brush her and give her food. It's a good proverb. So literally, this we cannot do anything about this relationship other than what it is. This is the first recognition. Because that's the closest relationship, if there was ever one. It's the closest relationship. For all the reasons that too obvious to talk about. And this to be understood on many levels. We have an extraordinary astrologer among us. You can ask Dr. Suhas on the side, or maybe what the mother represents in the chart, right? The father and the mother are represented by the planets. So it's already the karmic pattern shows itself up there and then. Mother here stands and represents at once Prakriti, the nature, the mother nature. And also that aspect of how we relate to the Materia Prima. So of course, mother's love is therefore known to be selfish. That's what Materia Prima is. Prakriti is selfish. Selfish. Literally. It envelopes us to keep us, as it were, on her laps all her life. This dynamic, you see? That mother's love here is nourishing. Without it, we would not survive. And yet it's encumbering, imposing. Symbolically speaking, in terms of the archetypes here, the father is that what here represents the eternal spirit, the soul dimension. And the mother, that what represents here, this what we just speak about. Without the both, there is no us. It requires both. You see? We will touch upon, perhaps, hopefully, in the coming days, on this bewildering relationship of how can that be even possible, even if Kashmir Shaivism, such an extraordinary philosophical system, how can that be that awareness hides itself in manifestation? We would have to touch upon the dependent origination so as to perhaps once and for all reconcile this dilemma, dichotomy, this duality, even if we are speaking about it using the so-called non-dual language. Dependent origination. You have heard me, many of you have heard me speaking about this, the most extraordinary koan, the most extraordinary exchange I've ever encountered. When Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was asked by a child, Maharishi, if God has created man, who has created God? Remember that story? Maharishi went silent and then lowered his eyes, and then when he looked back at the child, he said, man. This is dependent origination. When it comes to the relationship with the mother, it's good that everything is not nice and dandy, because there is some karmic work being done. Believe me. And I'm saying that to you from my personal experience. The most difficult lessons life can teach us can only be delivered by our mother, no one else. No one else has that power. No one else has that capacity. So, if you are speaking to this and asking for my reflection, then I would say to you that as a student of consciousness that you are, then you need to embrace this with this understanding, where at once, no matter what, the first thing you do, always, always, you show respect to your mother. You show respect to your mother just as that proverb goes. If she's turned to a dog, the first thing you do is this and this. And everything else after. No one is exempt. Some relationships are powdered, some sweeter, some are even blessed with having good, as it were, karma. But mother here, physical mother, in our day and age, really is all about that. And mother-daughter in particular. Mother-daughter in particular, because we live at the time when complete and utter perplexing taking place at the level of the dharma. Violation of dharma, whether any of you like in this audience to hear, from Vedic point of view, is because of a woman. Woman violated the dharma first because that is where dharma is upheld. The dharma is upheld by a woman. Therefore, dharma is violated by a woman. Man, it's too simple. Not clever enough. So that's at least a Vedic perspective. Take it or leave it, as I said. I'm not here to convert anyone into these beliefs. But if you spend some time to study and read, even the Bhagavad Gita, you will hear how that happened. So, accepting and understanding this makes it simply easier to face this, knowing it's not going to be all flowers when it comes to that relationship. At the very same time, that same very principle applies here, the principle of reparenting. And in Tantras, you have heard us addressing before on several occasions, there is this changing of the roles, consciously done, changing of the roles. Seeing your mother as your daughter, reversing the role. Try that. Reversing that role. Not in terms of just throwing something, this and that, internally. Do you see? Because what it aims here is, the goal here is not to remain in a status quo, right? All these roles, all these many different roles, many different identities, all that, what keeps it all intact, what keeps it all together. It's done consciously so as to loosen up that construct, that vikalpa, thought construct that holds it all together. And vikalpa is what prevents us from knowing ourselves for what and who we are. There's nothing else. There's no vikalpa in deep sleep. There's no vikalpa in samadhi. There's no vikalpa in samavesha. So, compassion, patience, and courage should go a long way. Courage also to be able to stand your ground. You're not a slave of circumstances. You're not to be told. There's a difference, very clear line between what we do out of duty and respect and where that is a result of some manipulation, some concoction, some this and that, intrigue. No, you need to see through. And yes, if sometimes you need to show that, you do that. But you need to have enough consciousness to hold this, because immediately you get entangled into that karmic web. See? So the whole thing backfires. And the mother rejoices because she got you. You are hers forever. See? That's what mothers don't want to let go. Just to myself, dear. Mother, Remember that Pink Floyd? Well, you're too young to remember. There's in the wall.
Yes, my mom loves Pink
Floyd. All right, so you can play her that one. It's from the album The Wall. Great lyrics, very telling. So that's to the mother. And of course, internally you should always bow to the mother. Bow to her. Even if you are in conflict with her, even if you are whatever, you still bow to her, trust me. On that one, trust me, take my word for it.
Thank you, Vamadeva. And I have no doubt that it's a reflection of me and my inner world, because I also incarnated in a desert, which, if you think of Prakriti, like manifestation of Prakriti, for me, desert is very masculine and like a Shiva energy more than like Shakti. And this is something I've also confronted by going back home. It's like there's absence of mother, intimacy, and then I'm in the desert. And honestly, it's been quite difficult. So do you have any comments about that aspect? Because, for example, in the past, I was blessed to spend time in Poland in the forest, like Białowieża, and really like south of Poland, which is like so rich and abundant. And I was also in Guatemala, which is so amazing. And I don't know, if I chose to incarnate in a desert, there must be something there. Like, do you have any guidance? Because I'm honestly quite lost. Like, I just always feel like I want to run away from my home country and my mother, yet I chose both. Or at least it was chosen in some way.
Well, why desert is not the mother? Desert is also a Prakriti. It's just a particular expression, particular face of Prakriti. Only in a desert you can truly see the sky, isn't it? The forest doesn't have that luxury. Because the land constantly moves, shifts. Nothing is certain. The sand. Why you chose to incarnate there, I don't know. Is it important? Do you love your land, your homeland? Are you connected to it?
I feel very connected to the invisible world, like the ancestors. I feel that very strongly. But in terms of the material manifestation, I feel like it's a very extreme environment of survival, and it doesn't really make me feel like so luxurious and supported.
Yeah. That's why the best, we should do that. We should run a retreat somewhere, at least on the edge of the desert, with the equipped with those tents designed in Saudi Arabia, with all the amenities. When you have the best of the best of the both worlds, you have the sand and the sky at night, and you have the tent elevated enough from all the crawlies, and with all the luxuries of what otherwise the Bedou would not have. No, but this is land where we're born, also mother. See? Where we're born, it's also motherland. Yes, we can maybe dismiss it as a psychological concept. But the older I get, the less I'm inclined to think so. I think it's also Shakti in her particular form. After all, the first 3 years of life, all the physical information, most of the sensory input is already taken. First 3 years, everything is already taken. So that's the mother as well. And even the nomads in us, right? Don't worry about this. Let's stay with that, what your original inquiry. You see? That, to summarize it, right? That compassion, patience, and courage. So, and of course, internal bow of gratitude. So that you don't want to do things that will cause some harshness in the heart. You see? And when it comes to mother, that's what it's important. Doesn't matter. Maybe for the boys, men, this sounds more appropriate. I somehow sense it is so. But every insult and every kick or every slap of a mother is a blessing, if I might say so. Oh yes. I'll take it anytime.
I'll take your word for it.
Thank you, Tim.